What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. Everything in this video is alleged. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you're feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. I know ever since I was a little boy, I would always hear old heads talking about the new generation and how much worse they were than them. The men who grew up in the 60s and 70s, when there was still a sense of love, pride, and unity in the black community, talk about the generation after them that came in the 80s and 90s, where drugs, gangs, and guns flooded the streets. Then after that generation got older, or unfortunately lost their lives or freedom during that era, now you have my generation, late 80s babies who were outside in the late 90s, early 2000s. Even though the generation before us had a lot going on, they used to tell us as hoppers we were worse than them and didn't listen and have no respect or guidance. Now that I'm pushing 40 myself, I hate to say it, but now I'm looking at the newer generation saying the same thing. It seems like things got worse for them. It doesn't seem like it's about money or survival, it's for the sport. The hoppers call it catching a hat or body, where it's cool not to get money, but to beef, have ops. They have bigger guns, more access. You can literally go on social media, see where your so-called op is at, find them off a location, or zoom in to a house they took a picture at. Now you had an address. While they have whatever they have going on, the disadvantage they have that they never seem to understand or think about is technology. Cameras on every house and corner. The same thing they use to find the ops, the phones, it's the same thing, tracking you after the fact. And after this story, y'all let me know, have things got better or worse? And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a 17-year-old walking to the store when he was ambushed. Back in 2024, 17-year-old Denzel Johnson was trying to navigate life in Baltimore. Described as a cool little dude who for the most part was laid back and stayed to himself until it was time to have fun. Then he became the life of the party. Like most young men his age trying to find their way, Denzel was trying to get in where he fit in this world and find ways to make him some money. It's not clear what he was into, but he often rotated in West Baltimore. On a nice spring day, May 25th, 2024, Denzel was with a friend, a 15-year-old teen, and they were outside in West Baltimore by North Dukeland. Being typical teens, they were just bopping to the store, laughing, geeking, when out of nowhere, a car crept up and shots went off before it fled the scene. Witnesses called BPD, who responded to the location to find both Denzel and his friend hit. Both young men were rushed to a local hospital where the 15-year-old survived his injuries, but unfortunately, at just 17 years old, Denzel would pass away from his. At first, no one knew exactly what happened. The grandmother of the 15-year-old spoke out, stating they were just walking to the store, minding their business. Now her grandson was shot, laying in the hospital, fighting for his life, and his friend lost his life. She stated it doesn't even feel safe no more to leave your house and do nothing. She felt there was no more love or humanity in the world. People just didn't care. But police now had a homicide on their hands and needed answers. They focused in on city cameras and private cameras from homes on the block. Video caught a car creeping as the two young men were bopping. A man leaned out the back seat window and opened fire. The tags were caught on video, and a search of the tags gave police a big tip. The getaway car was a rental that was overdue for return and had a tracking device on it. Now police were on the hunt. A bolo was put out for the car, and later that same night, it was spotted in Southwest Baltimore. As police got on his heels, The vehicle fled. Police closed in. They could see it was 2 men inside the car. They saw a flame, and it seemed they were trying to set the car on fire to get rid of evidence. Once that didn't work, the men fled on foot. One was caught coming out the woods on Stokes Drive. He was identified as 22-year-old Corey Hobson, but the other man in the car got away. Inside the car was a lighter and equipment that seemed to match with setting the car on fire and getting rid of evidence. Corey had a cell phone on him, and even though he didn't say nothing, police used cell towers and data from his phone to see what other number pinged in the same location of the car. They got a hit for another man, 26-year-old Charles Robinson, and Charles was seen in the same vehicle days prior. Eventually, both young men were taken into custody, charged with first-degree and second-degree hit, attempt, and firearm violations. No motive was ever given on why they targeted the young men. As the case made its way to court, it was packed, with Denzel's family, Corey's, and Charles' family as well. The evidence was overwhelming, including cell phone data with both their phones pinging at the crime scene, surveillance footage, and also the rental car. Prosecutors pointed to it as a brazen ambush, broad daylight, and they stated it seemed either young man had any regard for life. Denzel's family spoke out about the impact his loss had on them. They wanted justice, and it seemed they would get just that. Both young men were found guilty on all charges. Corey's lawyer stated he needed proper rehabilitation and that the young man was sorry for his actions. But with a history of drug possession and probation violations, he was smashed and sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. Charles' family asked the judge to be lenient, claiming everyone makes mistakes and he had no history of violence. They stood up for his sentencing, but the judge felt the act was too bold, and Charles was also sentenced to life plus 30 years in prison. No motive for the ambush was ever given. Rest in peace to Denzel. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. At 17, in your mind, you are grown and you know what's going on in the world, but really, you are just a baby. Since 17, I have learned so much more about life, myself, the world, and people. My whole outlook is different, and I'm sure if most young men get the chance, theirs will be too. For Charles and Corey, life plus 30 is crazy in your 20s. Reality will hit one day when they look up with gray hairs and realize I'm probably never going home. I don't know what Denzel was into or what the beef was about, but whatever it was, it caused 3 young men lives to be gone. Like we was talking about earlier, crime has been happening. Some people feel like it's getting better. Others feel like it's getting worse. I know people that live and bleed Baltimore that I never thought would leave a city that's gone because it's too much for them. There's nothing we can do about what our kids see and intake from the internet. A lot of us was tricked into thinking the streets was cool. Beefing with people with the same struggles who look just like us was cool. Prison was cool. As you get older, you realize that's all lies. But my question is, are we too far gone as a people to come back? And do you think it will keep getting worse? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, man, rest in peace that young man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. Everything in this video is alleged. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. It can be a cold and lonely world out here. So for a lot of people, they depend on their relationships and friendships to help them navigate life. It's nothing like knowing you can pick up that phone, make one phone call, and no matter what, your peoples will be there for you if you need anything. It's really a blessing to have solid people in your corner because everybody doesn't have that. Even if you might not be the type to rotate with a lot of friends and associates, but more with your family. That's probably even better because at least y'all came up together, really know each other, and most of the time, the love is genuine. Some people, though, have made peace with being more of a loner. Rather bad dealings with people, so-called friends and family, they choose to protect their energy. They move alone through life and are completely fine with that. But others are more outgoing, social. They don't mind being friendly, getting to know people. They might walk in a store, have a conversation with a stranger on Wednesday, and by Friday, they are going out for drinks together. It's all preference though. It's nothing wrong with being to yourself or social. But it's important to watch the company you keep and know exactly who you are dealing with. Since the beginning of time, people have been shaking each other's hands and crossing each other out for whatever reasons. It could be envy, jealousy, hate, or as simple as a person playing you close because you are beneficial to them, but deep inside, they really don't like you. Some feel like the smaller the circle, the less drama you have to worry about. But when you put yourself out there and people think they have you figured out, things can sometimes go left. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of two friends who went out to party, but one didn't make it back home. Just last year, in 2025, 33-year-old William Grant was navigating life in Baltimore. Called Willie by family and friends. He was described as outgoing, easy to get along with, loving to the people he cared about, and a genuine person. Willie worked hard as a landscaper so he could make ends meet, but also provide for his kids, which he adored. The father of three, including two twin girls, fatherhood was everything to the man. When not working or with his kids, he will often give his time volunteering in the community, whether events for the kids or food drives. Willie was well grounded and didn't mind helping out. On the more laid back side of things, he was also well known and liked to have fun, whether grabbing a few drinks with friends or sitting in a group outside just talking to associates. One of his homegirls was a 46-year-old woman named Jasmine White. Her and Willie were considered close friends. They knew personal things about each other, often hung out, and showed love. So on a hot summer day, July 19th, 2025, it wasn't nothing new when they both found themselves at a social event in the city, located in Northeast Baltimore. At the gathering, everybody was chopping it up, enjoying themselves, and the drinks were flowing. Both Willie and Jasmine had a few, but according to sources, Willie might have had one too many and got a little bit too tipsy. To the point, people at the gathering told him, like, okay, bro, it's time to go home and lay down. They asked who would walk with him to make sure he got there safe. And Jasmine, being his friend, stated she would. As they started bopping towards his house, they walked through the 2800 block of Kennedy Avenue when shots went off. Broad daylight, a little bit after 4:30 p.m., people in the neighborhood who heard the shots called BPD. They responded to the scene to find Willie suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. As an investigation started, people around that way stated they had just saw the man with everybody outside drinking and having fun. They claimed he was a little too tipsy, and a friend walked him home, and the last person he was with was Jasmine. People who lived on the block where Willie was shot at stated he was going back and forth with a woman when she shot him, then ran. When police asked how did the woman look, the description they gave matched Jasmine's. It wouldn't take long. Just 2 days after the shooting, she was picked up and taken in for questioning. At first, she didn't have too much to say, but with witness statements, she was charged with first degree and second degree hit. Nobody who knew the two thought she would take Willie's life, and for what? But answers would come out in court. As the case went in front of a judge, her attorney stated, yes, her and Willie were friends and were both drinking heavily that summer day, but he was more under the influence than Jasmine. She claimed she bought a gun years ago, around about age 21, but she never even shot it. But she had recently had some hardships. She was terminated from her job due to alcohol issues, and she claimed to have the gun outside with her because she was going to try to pawn it and get money to cover her rent. She stated during a walk back to Willie's house, he started making disrespectful comments about her and her family. She said she brushed that off, but then the man charged at her. Feeling like that was a threat, she said she shot. Willie's family spoke out about the type of man he was, stating he was a great father, family member, and her actions that day changed their lives forever. His father, standing on principles from the Bible, stated that they did in fact have to forgive her and show compassion, even though she took something from them that can't be replaced. As Jasmine pleaded with the court that her life was also in danger, the judge felt it was important to take accountability and felt maybe she just overreacted. In the end, she was found guilty on a second-degree hit charge and use of a firearm and commission of a violent crime. She was sentenced to 40 years, all suspended but 25 for the hit, and 20 years, all suspended but 5 for the use of a gun. In total, 30 years in prison. Rest in peace to Willie. I send my prayers and condolences to his family and kids. I don't know what words were said out there that day, but words are just that, words. I'm sure for both of them, being under the influence probably intensified the situation. But Jasmine could have been like, bro, you talking crazy, you geeking. If that's the case, and leave him right there. Or make sure he got home because they were friends. But after that bop, cut him off. You go your way, I go mine. But now, one day of drinking and a split-second decision cost you 30 years. But y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation, fam. If Jasmine is telling the truth and it went down like that, how would you handle it? Do you think her losing her job, being in a financial situation, and having too many drinks reflected on how she handled the situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, man, that's a terrible situation. Rest in peace to Willie. I definitely send my prayers and condolences to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. It's another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Out.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. In this video, I'll be discussing the story of a Baltimore father who lost his life after an argument with his longtime girlfriend and mother of his children. But before we get into this video, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and join the Tony 2 times family. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. And of course, feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Everything in this video is alleged. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. To those who knew him best, 46-year-old Dante Chase was simply known as Man. If you ran into him around Baltimore, chances are he was smiling, cracking a joke, or bringing a burst of positive energy to the room. He was described by family and acquaintances as a truly motivational, inspiring, and funny soul who took immense pride in how he presented himself and how he cared for his loved ones. But above everything else, Dante was a deeply devoted father. He had an older son as well as 2 younger children, and he poured his heart into supporting them. On any given weekend, you could find him at his son's youth football games completely locked in. He wasn't just a spectator. He was the dad cheering on the entire team, coaching from the sidelines, and showing up as a strong, attentive example for all the players. To the community, his family looked well kept, happy, and anchored by a father who loved them fiercely. But in the midst of Dante's life was 37-year-old Cherise Erica Parker. Dante and Cherise got together back in 2010, marking the beginning of a long-term relationship that would span over a decade. Together, they built a life and brought 2 beautiful children into the world, a son and a daughter. According to acquaintances from the outside, they were raising a family, but behind closed doors and even occasionally in the public, their connection was incredibly tumultuous. The couple's relationship existed in two completely different realities depending on who you asked. On one hand, people in their social circle saw a very specific dynamic. Some acquaintances noted that at public events, like their kids' football games, Charisse could allegedly be highly confrontational and argumentative toward Dante, even in front of their little ones. Witnesses recalled Dante frequently walking away from the tension to keep the peace, because according to someone on social media who was around the couple during football games or practices, Charisse allegedly appeared bold and vocal outside. Some onlookers said they never suspected anything darker was happening, noting they hadn't seen any physical marks or bruises. However, social media and court discussions later revealed a completely different story of what allegedly was happening behind closed doors. While some personal acquaintances strictly maintained that Dante would never lay a hand on her, others stepped forward to counter that narrative, stating plainly that the relationship was deeply toxic on both sides. According to those accounts, behind closed doors, severe physical altercations were a constant reality in their home, sometimes unfolding right in front of their children. Allegedly, it was a volatile environment, a private storm brewing beneath a public surface. Everything reached a devastating breaking point on the night of June 30th, 2025. Inside their home in the 700 block of North Kenwood Avenue in Southeast Baltimore, an altercation ignited between Dante and Charisse. It was just past 11 p.m. when the argument escalated far past words. In the heat of an alleged physical confrontation, a sharp object was introduced into the struggle. Charisse allegedly used a knife, striking Dante in the left chest. Gravely injured, Dante managed to run out of the house to seek help before collapsing onto the sidewalk outside. Meanwhile, inside the residence, panic and chaos took over. Phone calls were made, including one where Charisse frantically contacted a family member to state what had just happened. But rather than waiting for the flashing lights of first responders, Charisse fled the scene, leaving her 11-year-old and 7-year-old behind in the house. Before authorities could even arrive, family members who had been alerted rushed over to safely remove the kids from the home. At 11:09 p.m., Baltimore police received emergency calls and dispatched officers to the Kenwood Avenue address. When they arrived, they found Dante on the ground outside, suffering from a severe wound to his body, along with irregular abrasions on his arms that looked like defensive wounds. Medics rushed him to a nearby hospital, but tragically, he succumbed to his injuries shortly after arrival. The investigation moved rapidly. When detectives secured a search warrant for the home, the physical evidence painted a grim picture. They discovered significant amounts of red stains tracking through the entire first floor and located a knife covered in stains lying on the floor between the living room and the dining room. For a few days, Charisse was nowhere to be found. But on July 3rd, she walked into the Baltimore Police Department headquarters and turned herself into detectives. She was processed, booked at the Central Booking and Intake Facility, and officially hit with the highest level of life-ending charges. The community's reaction was a mix of profound grief and utter heartbreak. The loss shook those who knew Dante as a vibrant football dad, and a cloud of sadness hung over the fact that these two young children had essentially lost both of their parents in a single evening. When the case moved through the courts, the defense began setting up a strategy rooted entirely in self-defense. During a scheduled hearing in November 2025, a trial date was set for May of the following year. But as March 2026 approached, the timeline shifted. Prosecutors offered Sharice a plea deal, a life sentence with all but 30 years suspended. Sharice rejected it, choosing instead to take her chances with a jury, where she faced a maximum penalty of spending the rest of her life behind bars. The trial was brief but intense. The defense attempted to introduce a short video from years prior showing Dante making menacing statements to Sharice, telling her he would put her in a box, as well as a letter detailing her mental health treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. The judge ultimately deemed those specific items inadmissible due to the timing, but ruled that Sharice could directly testify about her state of mind. And testify she did. Taking the stand, Sharice and her defense attorney described a horrifying history of severe physical altercations. Sharice, who stands at less than 5 feet tall, testified that Dante towered over her and that physical trauma was a permanent fixture in their 15-year relationship, claiming he had choked her to unconsciousness multiple times in the past, including on the very night of the incident. When asked why she didn't leave the relationship, she explained that she felt stuck. She felt completely trapped and unable to leave. The prosecution, however, hammered away at her credibility. They pointed out major inconsistencies. Sharice initially told the police that the incident happened in an upstairs bedroom, but testified in court that it happened in the kitchen, while the evidence suggests a completely different area of the first floor. They also pointed out that she claimed she broke a television during the fight, yet crime scene photos showed it perfectly mounted on the wall. The state argued these lies proved she wasn't telling the truth. The defense countered that the human brain under severe trauma and terror struggles to retain perfect linear details, and that her change in memory was a direct symptom of that fear. On March 4th, 2026, the jury went back to deliberate. 2 days later, on March 6th, they reached their conclusion. The jury ultimately sided with the narrative of self-defense. Sharice was completely acquitted of the most serious life-ending charge, though she was found guilty of a lesser charge regarding the use of a weapon. Fam, this is a really heartbreaking story. My heart goes out to everyone involved. Our deepest thoughts and condolences go out to Dante Chase's family, his friends, and especially his children, who have to carry the weight of this tragedy moving forward. Regardless of where people stand on the verdict, the consequences have been life-changing for everyone connected to this situation. Some people felt justice had been served. Others believe important questions remained unanswered, and many focus on the long-lasting impact left behind. At the center of this case are children who lost both parents as they once knew them. One parent is gone, and the other became involved in a lengthy criminal case. Cases like this often remind us how dangerous toxic relationships can become when conflict continues to escalate over time. When arguments repeatedly turn into hostility, resentment, fear, or physical confrontations, the consequences can affect entire families and generations. This story also highlights how difficult it can be for outsiders to fully understand what is happening inside a relationship. Some people who knew the couple believed Dante was a loving father and positive influence, Others believe Sharice endured years of physical trauma behind closed doors, and maybe both things can be true at once. But the fact is, we will never know the whole truth because in those moments when it was just Sharice and Dante, only they can speak on it. And Dante isn't here to talk about his experiences. And what Sharice says she went through in that relationship is the only version we know. And her voice matters. Hopefully, she gets the help she needs to recover from this tragedy. The jury heard both perspectives and reached its decision based on the evidence presented in court. But the conversation surrounding this case will likely continue for years. So now, fam, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the jury reached the correct verdict? Do you think Sharice acted in self-defense? And do you think there were warning signs that this situation was heading toward tragedy long before that night on North Kenwood Avenue? Let's keep it respectful and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of The Baltimore Way. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video informative and believe these stories matter, please consider liking this video so more people can see it. Subscribe for more stories like this that deserve to be heard. And most importantly, take care of yourself and those around you. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. Everything in this video is alleged. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. When kids are growing up, they go through a lot of different stages. From toddlers, they depend on you as a parent for everything. To feed them, show them love, and teach them right from wrong. Then around 5 years old, they are now big kids, going to school and are exposed to things outside the home, seeing how other kids act and move. By middle school, you have probably the first year, 6th grade, when they are still 12 or 13. At that point, they are still your baby. They are still trying to figure out who they want to be and how to move in this world. After that, it's high school. Now you have a full-fledged teenager. This is where things get tricky as parents. You want your kids to do right, get good grades, be responsible, stay out of trouble. But around 16, those growing pains are real. Now they don't want to listen. They have figured out their circle, who they want to be around, and what they want to be into. And they start identifying with things. Now you are up against everything. What they see outside, on the internet, the music they listen to. You can raise your kids right, teach them life lessons, get them all the opportunities in the world to be successful. But at a certain age, they start making their own choices. When things happen, like a young man going to jail or a teen girl sneaking out the house being fast at night, most try to look at the parents like they did something wrong. But we never think, like maybe they did everything right and didn't know Lil Mike broke into a car 2 weeks ago with his friends and is now walking around with a gun he stole. Or Lil Ashley is not even allowed to date, but has been talking to older men on the laptop you bought her to do homework on. Now she is sneaking out. Some kids get it early and understand right from wrong, but others, unfortunately, get chance after chance until it's too late. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it outside of the city to Howard County, Maryland, to discuss the case of a teen who turned the trip to the mall to a life sentence plus 70 years. Back in 2025, 18-year-old Emerson Zia was navigating life in Columbia, Maryland. The young man was going through growing pains and struggling to stay out of trouble. He attended Wild Lake High School in Columbia. Described as a kid who came from a decent household but had chose to be active in the streets with a criminal juvenile record that went back to 2023 for assault and theft. Then fast forward a few months to October 2024, he found himself in a heated feud with another young man at school, 16-year-old Michael Robinson. Michael was described as a bright young man with big dreams, raised by his mother who taught him kindness, strength, and to always be a leader. He was well known at school, especially for being an athlete. Michael played football and was known for his skills on the field. But for whatever reasons, Michael and Emerson didn't get along, to the point Emerson's second juvenile charge was connected to a situation where he chased Michael around the school, attempting to stab the young man. The incident was caught on school camera. Fortunately, Michael wasn't hurt, but Emerson's trouble wouldn't stop there. Just 1 month after the attempted stabbing, he got jammed up again for a home invasion and another stabbing. He was convicted, this time as an adult, and would find himself on a box. He was now facing multiple charges that were still pending, including an incident at school with Michael. But Emerson wasn't over the situation, and now Michael was considered a witness, and Emerson wanted revenge. As months went by, things was a little quiet, until once again, the young man was a suspect in a non-fatal shooting in Columbia. It's not clear what happened when he was picked up, but he remained free, still on the box. On February 22nd, 2025, a bunch of teens from the area decided they would hit the Columbia Mall. Michael was there, and also at the mall that day was 15-year-old Blake McCray, who was a freshman at another high school, Oakland Mills. Described as a young man with big dreams, very ambitious, Blake one day wanted to own his own business and be a contractor. He liked to build things. He was good with his hands. He would even build furniture around the house for his family. Always in good spirits, with an upbeat personality, Blake tried to set an example for his little brothers, as he was the oldest of 3. He looked at himself as the man of the house. He wanted to be a responsible young man, but still was a teen and liked to have fun. On this day, he linked up with friends at the mall to celebrate the life of another teen who unfortunately passed away due to a medical emergency. It's not clear if him and Michael knew each other or were in the same group, but around 6 p.m., a person was seen bopping up to the area where Blake, Michael, and other teens were hanging at, just enjoying the evening. The person upped the gun and opened fire. As people scattered, the shooter fled on foot. Witnesses called local police, who responded to the scene to find both Michael and Blake suffering from gunshot wounds. They were both rushed to a local hospital, but unfortunately, neither young man would survive their injuries. The community was in shock and outraged. Someone would open fire at a crowded mall, taking the lives of 2 teens, just 15 and 16 years old. Blake's mother stated he was following curfew on his way home and was an innocent bystander. She stated she raised him right to stay out of trouble, and he still lost his life. Michael's family also was devastated. They didn't know who would want to hurt the young man and target him, who was loved by mostly everyone, especially at school. But a name started coming out from witnesses on the scene. But at a crowded mall, police wouldn't have to look far, with cameras everywhere. It showed the man walk fast to the group, let off 4 shots, and run off. As police tracked his direction and released footage to the news, they got a name of a suspect, Emerson, who was also still on the box. Detectives got information the young man and Michael had beef, and just 4 months ago, he had attempted to stab him. They were able to track Emerson's location through his box that placed him right on the scene at the mall before and after the shooting. Now with probable cause, a warrant was signed to search the young man's house. Inside was the clothes the shooter was wearing in the video, the same caliber handgun that matched shell casings from the scene. With that, Emerson was taken in for questioning. When shown a video of him getting out of a vehicle and walking towards the crowd and shooting, he stated yes, his mother dropped him off at the mall that day to look for a job. He allegedly stated people started shooting, so he shot back, even though video showed otherwise. With that, he was taken into custody, charged with 2 counts of first-degree hit, attempted hit, reckless endangerment, and first-degree assault. When questioned about his previous connection to a shooting just days prior, he stated someone shot at him first. As both families heard the news and arrest had been made, they spoke out. Blake's mother tried to be in good spirits. She laughed after stating he was my favorite person, even though I was his second favorite. His grandmother was his first, as she joked. Michael's mother was also trying to remember the good times and memories, hoping for justice. As the case made its way to court, the motive was Emerson wanted revenge on Michael and stalked the young man to the mall. Tensions were high in the courtroom as families were hurt. They were now face to face with Emerson. Then things took a turn. He was attacked by Blake's mother and Michael's father in the courtroom as they yelled in frustration.
This is his first appearance in the circuit court on these charges, is that correct?
That's correct.
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Emerson's mother pleaded with them to stop. That day, court ended, and both parents were charged. But on another day, in another hearing, Emerson's juvenile record and recent adult conviction was brought up. As his lawyer stated, he could be redeemed. The judge disagreed though, stating he had chance after chance, and Emerson was found guilty on all counts. At sentencing, he pleaded with the judge, telling the judge he still had a lot to do in his life. He was still young and asked for mercy, to be given a second chance at life. But with his actions taking 2 lives at a crowded mall, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences plus 70 years in prison at just 19 years old. Rest in peace to Michael and Blake. I send my prayers and condolences to both of their families. 15 and 16 years old, both babies for real. It seemed Blake was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And as far as Michael and Emerson, I don't know what the initial beef was all about, but Shorty wouldn't let it go. You tried to stab him, then go to a crowded mall while on a box and shoot in the crowd. Broad daylight. Obviously, whatever it was about, Emerson felt it was worth it. The thing that got me, he stated he had so much to do and so much life to live. But I don't think these hoppers understand. Once you pull that trigger, it's no more going back to being a kid. By the time he comes home, if he does come home, them dreads will probably be gray. And you now have to sit in a cell for decades and ask yourself daily, was it really worth it? So for all the hoppers out there, think about that. Don't wait until you crash out, then say, hold up, I'm just a kid. Then it's too late. But I'm gonna leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation. Leave it in the comments. Yeah, man, it's a terrible story. Rest in peace to Blake. Rest in peace to Michael. I definitely send my prayers to their families. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.